Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here again with you to continue our work with self-acceptance. Today, I am going to convey to you information on an article written by Jay Early on this book of the Self-Acceptance Project. His article is entitled Embracing All of Our Parts. And why does it have this title? Well, it's because he works with a therapy that is called IFS, which stands for Inner Family System Therapy. And what this therapy does is look at the psyche as if was divided into different parts. And each of these different parts play a role in our daily lives, in the way that we see life and the way that we behave and the way that we react. Okay? So how can we identify these parts? If we pay attention to ourselves, we will realize that every once in a while, our internal dialogue is directed in a certain way. You can have the root, or like if you're going to do something and you're really excited about it, there's this little voice inside of you that says, yeah, let's do it. This is really great. This is fun. This is going to be wonderful, right? Or you might have the little voice that says, ooh, maybe that's not a good idea. What if it doesn't turn out right? What if people laugh at you? What if it just doesn't happen? Or maybe there's another voice that says, well, why bother? Everything always comes out wrong anyway. Things like that, okay? If we pay attention to our inner dialogue and self-acceptance, and to me personally, living this life is all about paying attention to our reactions, to the way we conduct ourselves, to the way we think. So if we bring awareness to this, we will find all these little parts that are inside of us and that play a very important role. So we have these parts that, for example, the inner critic, which I think is the one that comes up most often, and the one that probably most times is hindering us in the things that we want to do. And this inner critic voice is going to say, no, this is not such a good idea. You thought it was a good idea, but see all these things that, it's just too much for you. You're not going to be able to handle it. So maybe it's best that, this is something not for you. For example, so you realize that this is going on inside of you. So this inner critic, even though we logically see it as, or let's not say logically, instinctively we answer to that and we hold back and we don't do what we don't want to do. But if we, or what we wanted to do originally, but if we realize that this is a part of us that is playing a role, that it is doing this for a purpose, then things begin to change. And if on top of that, we are able to start a dialogue with that part, to find out what is really going on and why this part comes up the minute I am all excited and ready to set forth on a project or an activity, then things might begin to shift for us in our lives. When I read this article, I thought that this was a very, very interesting way of dealing with our issues, and a very practical way to do it. And I know that this is probably not for everybody, but if you're that type of person that likes to have these internal talks, it's really worth trying doing this. I think it could be very, very useful. Now, Jay Early defines three different parts, not parts, but three different elements in this, in IFS, okay? First, we have the protector. And this part of us that is telling us, oh, no, you better not do that, or, this is not for you. That part is the protector, okay? And the protector comes up because at some point in our life, and many times it's during our childhood, We lived an experience that took us down that route that brought pain to us. Sometimes it could have been even really bad, like a trauma. So the protector needs to protect us. It sort of stayed in that period of our life when we went through this difficult situation, and for the rest of our life, it is protecting us from feeling those feelings that we felt when we were, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 10 years old. Or maybe later. It could be at any time. So that's the protector's role. And this is very important to have clear in our minds. Then it's the exile. The exile is the pain itself that we suffered with a particular experience, which the protector is trying to protect us from. And then the third element is the self. And the self is this neutral part that we are, actually who we really are. And we know we are in the self when we are compassionate about ourselves. We are compassionate about the exile, and we are compassionate about the protector. And when there is no criticism, we're absolutely neutral about it. So in this dynamic that we can begin to develop between these three elements, what happens is the following. For example, I will feel the inner critic coming up and saying, oh, well, you seem really excited about this, but see, the difficulty is already coming to arise, and this might be too hard for you. And you don't want to look bad later on. So, maybe this is not for you. Maybe you should look for something else. Okay? That's this inner critic. So I want to get on the self, and I think I'm in the self, but then suddenly I'm feeling a little bit angry at this inner critic, and I'm going, oh, well, I really want to get rid of that part of me. That part of me is really not serving me in any good way. Alice, this is another part. It's another part that's criticizing the inner critic, is trying to get rid of it. So we realize that this is another part that's playing another role. So we are going to ask this other part to please step aside, okay? To step aside and let us deal with the inner critic first. And the author expresses that there are times when maybe there will be other parts that arise, towards this the original inner critic, okay? So we might have to ask all these other parts to also step aside, so that we can work with it. And once we have it clear and we are like, okay, yeah, there is this part of me that sabotages me, that tells me that I shouldn't go ahead with things, that makes me look at all the difficulties. I really want to get to know that part better. I really want to understand where it's coming from and why it's doing what it's doing. What is it trying to defend? Okay, so when I'm able to make those questions, when I'm able to feel that towards the inner critic, to be totally neutral and to be curious about what it is doing for me, then I know that I am in myself. I am in the self, and that I am ready to have this dialogue. So I can start asking the questions. So why do you do this? Why is it important that I don't do it? Why do you feel the need to stop me from doing these things? And then sit quietly. Maybe you can hold your hands to your heart and then listen for the reply. You might find very, very interesting things in here. Maybe it'll take you to a specific situation in your childhood or in your youth, or maybe, I don't know, when you were 20. And you can realize what the exile is. By having this dialogue, you will go to the exile. And once you get to the exile, then you can heal the experience. You can heal this experience. And This way, the protector will no longer need to use these tools to keep you from feeling what you felt when the original experience happened. And the author goes on to explain 3 ways, this is one, I'm sure we can find others, to heal the exile. And the first one is reparenting. Okay, so as a self, you can go back to that period of time and give the exile what it needed back then. Just give it what it needed, the love, the support, the understanding. Okay, you can have a whole visualization around that. After that is the retrieval. So you take the exile out of the past situation and bring it here to our current life, where you are safe, where it will be safe, where you can give it all the tools that we now have. And then is unburdening. And you do an internal unburdening ritual where you help the exile to release the burdens. That's exactly what the author says. So this is a small ritual that you can prepare all on yourself. You can do it all on your own, where you release the burden from the pain. You release the pain the exile felt. Okay? So this can be a really lovely little ritual that you can do on your own, the whole dialogue. And then once you get to the core, just go there and have this little ritual where you will be able to release the pain, retrieve it, unburden it. And once this is done, then you can speak again to the protector and say, okay, now you can see the pain is gone. This has been healed. So you are released from this role of protecting me. And now you can choose whatever role you would like to have in order to work with me and motivate me and support me in all the things that I want to do in life. Okay, so that is, put in simple words, what IFS is doing. I am sure you can find in the internet more information on it. I'm just giving you a little glimpse into what this is about. You could probably also find practitioners on this if you need to. So I hope this helps you, and let's continue working on self-acceptance, a very, very, very important quality that we can practice every day, accepting ourselves, and therefore this way becoming tolerant with ourselves and with others. I leave you now. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.